Alright, so this is going to be another video that is going to be more of a rant, and it's not going to have the audio. Again, I'm going to work towards seeing how other people are doing their reactions and getting the videos up. I really don't want copyright strikes on anything, if I can help it. So I'm going to try and be as careful as possible to make sure that I can get the videos up and as well have good content, like something engaging, something interesting, talking the way that I do. But I really, really don't want to put the effort into all of the editing, doing any sort of graphics, overlays, all that, and then the production house for the music that I'm talking about, while I'm not trying to just be another venue for the music to be heard. It's obvious that reactions tend to be a little different if you can hear the music as well. Like, it's not just the generic, just white noise that you're hearing right now. Like, there's just nothing really there. So you click on the title, you think, hey, the person's talking about the song. And I will be. It's more engaging, right? To see something on screen or to hear something while you're having somebody talking to you. It's like if you're at a friend's house and you're kind of having a back and forth conversation and talking about something while you're listening to the music, or you're listening to the music, you stop the music, oh, that was a crazy part in the song, and then you continue with the music, as opposed to just listening to me, as I'm prone to do, just rambling about a particular artist or their music. And again, in the whole air of transparency and creating content, I'm creating something by talking about what they're doing. Me talking about what they're doing while you're listening to what they're doing, I can understand them seeing it as like, that's not really, because I'm playing off of, you already want to listen to that person's music, so then you're here to listen to that person's music. Me talking is that's just like ancillary. But I do want to talk about it because I think that as much as people talk about the newer artists that are making music, I think that it's definitely something important to recognize when artists that have been around for a long time, that are making good music, making music that's impactful, and that you need multiple listens, right? So specifically what I'm talking about, excuse me, specifically what I'm talking about is the Nas, Eminem, and Epmd song. It's a crazy song. Like I'll be honest, I've listened to it maybe 6, 7 times at this point. I can honestly tell you, I've listened to it, and on the 4th listen, looked at the lyrics and still said, wow, okay, this is going to take me a few times. Because, when Eminem and when Nas, they're saying something, there's so many layers to everything that it is that they're saying, that you can very easily miss it on like the 1st listen, the 12th listen. You can listen to it with somebody and they're like pointing something out and you're like, oh man, I didn't even realize, yeah, that's what they were referencing. And it's a tapestry, it's a story that they're weaving that, obviously is the reason why they've been around as long as they've been around. But also, they can really kick out there some points that, while yes, it's stuff that may be in the ether, might be out there that everybody's kind of aware of, the more that you hear it, the more it becomes commonplace, right? The same way that if you're watching a bunch of scary movies, you can get desensitized to something. The more that you hear a concept, if people are scared of the concept, the more they might get, I don't say more comfortable with the concept, but hearing it more and more, they might become a little less. Okay, so future Dominic here. Forgot to mention within the sort of rant that I did, which is something I try and do. I've said before, I don't want to get too heavy into certain topics, and I want to intentionally, alienate people. But there are certain things that do just need to have a conversation. People do need to talk about, and the excuse of, oh, it's uncomfortable, can't be what people hide behind anymore. Like people can't just sit there and say, okay, well, I would talk about this, but this is an uncomfortable conversation, like other topics that people, say taboo, and they immediately get a pass. And they don't have to talk about it anymore. These are conversations that need to be had. These are things that people need to talk about. And, I'm open to talk about them. Abrasive or defensive when they hear about it. So I think it's crazy. I mean, I'll be honest, the parts that stick out, as with most songs that come out in the hip hop community, talking about, minimum wage isn't there, don't need a stimulus, like we need to actually get some sort of situation going, whether it's loans, home ownership, like real wealth building kind of thing. And it's a sentiment that, like I said, all across the hip hop community, people are talking about it constantly. Yes, the people are talking about, doing rap music, doing other things, and a lot of other topics that they talk about in rap music. But there seems to be a consistency that there are a lot of artists talking about the idea that, yeah, if there needs to be a change, and we're really talking about there being some equality, there are some things that need to happen. There are some things that need to be done to make actual long lasting effective change. And on the note, specifically in the song, because there's a ton of other things that the song goes into, and if you'd like me to kind of dissect the song and go into a lot more of the lyrics, because again, there's a cornucopia of references within the song, but specifically the part that they're talking about, when they're talking about like homes and loans, it's I mean, like everybody that has listened to the song, I'm sure they're aware. It's talking about reparations, and I get that's a scary concept, right? Like it's a scary word for some people to hear. So I had another thought. I was thinking about the specifics of what it would be like, like in a utopia world, and people actually got to the point that they were like, reparations, all that stuff was like a real conversation, and what that would look like. And it's just, there are so many possibilities with how things could be, like how they could make that situation work. And I get the hesitation that people are hiding behind, because they're scared that it'll cause some sort of disproportionate, increase in one particular facet of society. And it's an odd conversation to have, because saying it'll be disproportionate feels like it's downplaying the issue that is causing people to feel like there needs to be reparations in the first place. And I know that people get very defensive and, oh, that's not what I'm trying to say, but it makes it seem like you're trying to say, well, the other thing that happened so long ago, as if people should be less concerned about it. Like, oh, it's in the past, so like that's a past thing that happened. And it's like, yeah, but there's still a society that exists that is benefiting off of that, and there's still, documentation, there's still stuff on the books. There's, in doing thought after I did the short little rant, which now the rant's longer. I was thinking about like I think it was Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, where he was talking about reparations in reference to a video. Spoiler if you haven't seen the video, that's what he references. And it's an interesting. I remember hearing about it in childhood and it being like, oh, ha ha ha, that'll never happen, because people, that would be them admitting to and making good on promises from before, and that'll just never happen. So it's an interesting thing that it's just this constant, and obviously it's because there are people that are my age and older than me that were aware of the fact that reparations was supposed to happen and should have happened, and all of that, and it didn't. So they're obviously talking about it, throwing it out there here and there, because that's something that a lot of people can kind of tie to. I don't know why I felt the need that I needed to just insert that into the video, but I wanted to say that, right? And it can be like a complicated topic, and I understand that people kind of try and hide behind the concept of the complication of it. People throw out the issues of, oh, well, like that was a long time ago, and that wasn't my generation. All of the excuses that people will come up with as to why an injustice that has happened, has been acknowledged, is not being actually rectified. Like there is no recompense. Like there's no reciprocity. There's just no like, oh, hey, this bad thing happened. Here is the way that we're going to resolve the fact that this happened. Like there's no restitution. That's the word I'm looking for. There's no restitution. So the same way that in court you do something wrong, the restitution, like going to jail, paying a fine, what have you. There's some sort of restitution. It's okay. We're acknowledging. We're not saying it didn't happen. These things happened, but I mean, what are we really gonna do about it? And the concept of, oh, well, the people that did it are dead, so it really bears no impact on today, is misleading in so many ways, and it's very easy to play the card of people are just trying to be, like looking out for, what they can get for free. But again, that's kind of missing the whole point of, hey, there's a lot that's underlined here, and there's a lot of inequalities. Like people aren't starting at the same place. So we're talking about getting everybody closer to the same place and then seeing where things go from there. But it's going to be interesting seeing how things go, especially with the the new variants that are happening with the virus that's out now, that's been out since 2020, and it's people are going to be talking about this more and more because it's going to be a conversation. People have had time to sit at home and think about it. They're not at the movies, going to sports games, out drinking, doing all the things that people normally do to kind of escape from stuff. People are thinking about it more and more. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the world in reference to any conversations with that, people talking about that. But as far as artistically, where people go, because a lot of the people that are creating music that kind of depended on them touring and doing things, they weren't doing anything for like a year, so like them becoming a lot more introspective and a lot more focusing on like self and like the discovery of like who they are as a person, and kind of sharing that with the rest of the world and seeing how that affects music and you know entertainment in general and entertainment at large. So yeah, that's just gonna be a quick overview of the song. Again, it's not really breaking down the lyrics, it's just my thoughts on how dense this song is with content, and just kind of cherry picking a specific part. Again, if you'd like me to go more in depth with the lyrics, be more than glad to. Leave a comment down below in the description. Let me know that you're really interested. Like the video, subscribe, and we'll start another video. We'll do more reactions, and content will keep coming. And having said that, I mean, I'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. with a video.